Bookish Mama Blooms. That's not how I normally start my videos. I'm Charlotte, and this is Bookish Mama Blooms. Wow, that's a good start. I just filmed this video, and I looked at the timestamp and it was 28 minutes. And in the video I said, I don't want to edit this, and there's no way that I'm putting up a 28-minute long video about my thoughts. That is like the worst afternoon I can imagine you guys spending. So I'm gonna, now I've jabbered about it, got it all out of my system, I'm gonna do the condensed version of what I was on about. And I'm just going to talk about some reflections I've had about the pandemic as it's a year. And before I get into it, I'm just going to say I'm going to be talking about COVID-19 because I haven't lost any loved ones that have been in my immediate family to COVID-19, and actually nobody in my immediate family has had COVID to my knowledge. It does change how I talk about it, because, you know, there's an element of me even being able to talk about it, which I think would be difficult if it was, you know, otherwise. So I would just say there's a little bit of a trigger warning there, that some of the things that I have had observations on, I've had the privilege to make those observations purely because there's been an element of it being one step removed. I'm also going to say that I've been in a privileged position of being able to work from home. So if I was a nurse, a doctor, a teacher, a delivery driver, a supermarket worker, and a construction worker, any of the jobs that basically have had to carry on and work 1,000 miles an hour in order to compensate for what we're going through at the moment, I would, again, probably not have had the luxury to be able to have these thoughts and make this video, and I have huge sympathy and respect for those that have been in that situation. But without further ado, I have lived the last year more or less at home, and I have, you know, found it, like many of you, I think everybody in the world has been affected mentally in some way or another by what has gone on, and I just think it's good to talk about it, and I would like to encourage conversation about it in the comments. So I'm just going to share with you a few observations that I have had, some of the lesser ones. Obviously we all know that family is important, and that friends are important, and that, God, I wish I had gone out for coffee more. You know, we've all had those observations, and they're really, really good ones, but I'm not going to do those ones. I'm going to kind of focus on a personal thing, a social thing, and then a kind of worldly thing. The personal thing is my decision to try not to care what other people think, and that sounds like a very superficial thing to have, you know, wow, it took a pandemic for you to come up with that, Charlotte. Congrats for being narcissistic. But genuinely, I have anxiety. Probably got a whole host of other things going on. I've never really been officially diagnosed, so I don't know. But I definitely feel like this has been a chance for me to self-reflect in order to just make life better for those around me, if no one else. And one of the things that has held me back over the years is an undeniable, but I did deny it, feeling of being judged and what I wanted to put out there into the world, and definitely judging other people for what they put out there into the world. Very easily drawn into conversations that went along the lines of, oh, did you see what so-and-so put on Facebook last night? You know, talking about their exercise again, or, you know, sharing pictures of food again, or another selfie. So easily drawn into those conversations. I look back and I feel so sad about those conversations, and it's toxic. And this is kind of the thing, is this, I definitely feel like the last year has just opened my eyes to what I was already starting to realise, which is that a lot of that behaviour is really bad for you and really bad for everybody else, and just doesn't help anybody or anything. So kind of for me, the act of when I shaved my head and I got my side cut, that was like a defining moment of me saying that I don't care what people think. And yes, I am aware that even though I was sort of, you know, denying, what's the word? Beauty standards. Oh my God. I remembered it in the last video. Beauty standards. Even though I was shirking off the expectations of beauty standards, having a side cut is definitely knocking on the door of the cool club and asking to be let in. So I'm not under any illusions that was somehow super rebellious of me in any real way, you know, but it was really big for me, and it was the start of me going, do you know what, I just don't care, and do you know what, I'm going to take selfies and put them on Instagram, because that was, you know, I'm an Aries, I was put on this planet to take selfies. I've been taking them with disposable cameras in rugby clubs since the 90s. Why shouldn't I put them on this platform that will also allow me to do a filter of daisies all over my head? You know? So anyway, it's a very small thing, but actually it's just part of a bigger journey of self-discovery. Again, all of this sounds so like hashtag growth and hashtag self-care and all this kind of stuff. So I hope you'll forgive me for that, but it is something that I feel is definitely making me a better person. Partly because if I'm not distracted by judging other people and what they do, I'm actually able to focus on the other stuff that really does matter. And this is my second point, is that the pandemic has 100% increased my social activism. I have, you know, I'm aware of so many more groups. I've signed about 1,000 petitions. I have, you know, some of the work that people have done, especially when it comes to things like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Elijah McCain, with the, I don't know if you saw like the postcards that they set up so that you could literally go online, pay for a postcard, they'd filled it all in for you, and then it was sent to like the locals, you know, the senator, or I don't know how American politics work, I do apologise, but sent to the people in power that stood in the way of justice for those individuals. I filled in tons of those, and I read loads of articles. I've, you know, I feel like I have become more radical, and that is partly because of the people that I talk to on the internet who have shared their insights with me. But, you know, I am happy with this change to the radical, because I feel like there is a tendency where you're radical in your 20s and then you just kind of tone it down, and then before you know it, you've decided that you want to run to be an MP. You know, I just think I have one of the books that I was going to highlight that I think fits well with this video, so I'm going to highlight it now, is We Still Here, Pandemic Policing, Protest and Possibility by Mark Lamont Hill, which is just an amazing book. And if you can get your hands on it, for the love of God, do. Order it from your local library, buy it online, buy it from your local bookshop, give them a phone call. They will post out to you, I can guarantee it. It's like 100 pages of just complete amazing insight into why now is the time, you know, and why George Floyd's death affected everybody differently to the years gone by when it's been other people, you know, when it's been Mike Brown. I mean, ooh, that's a dog trying to get in the room. I shut the door because I didn't want a nose cleaning incident like last time. Yeah, I just 100% recommend this book. And yeah, I'm on Instagram all the time sharing articles about places that my mind has now gone. And it's largely thanks to people on the front line, people who are facing discrimination, black people, queer people, all sorts of people that are living lives that are not mine as a cisgender, white, pretty middle class person. They are educating me, and I'm so grateful. So that's where my energy can go, you know, instead of judging somebody for, oh God, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some of the awful things I've judged people for. But, you know, instead of scoffing, basically, at other people, I'm actually putting that energy into something useful, and it just feels so much better. And then the third thing that I feel more connected to is the natural world. Again, I'm in a place where I can do that, but I have read books where people are in cityscapes and doing that. So How We Do Nothing by Janie Odell, I don't know if that's in shot, was the book that I talked about in my last video. And it's an amazing book. It definitely tries to root you in your local landscape, wherever that may be. And there are some great bits where she goes looking for a river that she's never seen in the city that she lives in, because it's been pretty much concreted in, you know, and it's been moved so that it goes in all, you know, nice convenient parts of the city, but she goes looking for it, and she literally clambers in, you know, to try and follow it. And it's that kind of idea of, how have I lived here and didn't know where the river is, you know? And so locally, I feel like we haven't gone anywhere but local. We have really stuck to the rules. We have taken the advice of the first Welsh Minister, Mark Drakeford, and we've done what we need to do and not what we want to do. Everybody is entitled to do what they want, of course, within the, you know, within the law, but we have taken the advice pretty much mostly to the extreme. We are lucky that we live right by a beach, but even that we've hardly visited when it's been busy, because we just don't want to add to any, we don't want to start a chain or be part of a chain of infection, basically. But when we've appreciated our natural world more, I feel like we've gone out and we've litter picked, you know, and I've heard that that's been a big thing, that people across the UK at least, and I would love to hear if things have happened in your local area, have gone out and litter picked to, you know, they're sort of taking pride in their local area, which is really nice. And a moment for me where I felt definitely, oh, he really wants to come in, it's got to be Jack. A moment where I felt really comforted but also humbled was, I was stood in the garden, I think it was about maybe a month, 2 months into the pandemic, and I looked up into the sky and there were birds flying overhead, and then one landed on our roof, and I just thought, wow, like, you have no idea it's the pandemic, little birdies, and you don't care, you know? Oh, he's crying at the door, I'm gonna have to let him in, hang on. Come in then. Well, you're both going to come in here. Come on then. Right. Look out, will you? Oh, they're covered in mud. They're not allowed up on the seats. Yeah, a bird, much like a dog, does not care about the pandemic, and there was something quite amazing seeing, I mean, we all got really into it, didn't we, at the start of the pandemic, about nature coming back into the cities. And, you know, it's sad in some ways that, you know, how much we've pushed animals out, and, you know, how there's always this sort of thing of, well, just one more house, just one more car park, just one more block of flats. It's just, it's got to stop, hasn't it? So it's another thing that I feel quite radical about, actually, is this idea of wanting to protect the natural landscapes that we've got. And also, you know, just a genuine sense of comfort knowing that if it all went to shit and it turned into something like out of an apocalypse film, that animals would actually carry on. And once you see yourself as part of the mycelial network, that does bring you comfort. Obviously, you know, I don't want any more death, and what was happened in the UK is just absolutely appalling, and watching it unfold in the US is also fairly shocking. But is it any surprise that the capitalist cornerstones of the world decided to put the economy before life? I don't think it is a surprise. So yeah, like, seeing the natural world has brought me comfort, and knowing that it's there and that it will carry on is good. But I think if we're going to go forward with this, we need to protect it. So that is something that I have also become more focused on. There we go. Those are my observations. They are not particularly radical, but they're the thing I'm taking from this year. And I think, you know, there's a lot to be said. You know, we do spring cleaning and we do Lent and all this kind of stuff. I think it's very good practice for humans on an individual level to sort of take stock, and anniversaries are really good times for that. So if you would like to take stock with me in the comments, then please do. I appreciate that some of the stuff that I have said, I don't think I said it in this version, but in the long version I talked about policing for a lot longer. Let's be kind in the comments. I know that sometimes radical thinking prompts people to get quite debatey, and I like debate, but I also will be setting boundaries this year. I began setting my boundaries last year when I was trolled on Instagram, and I will continue to set my online boundaries here as well. So let us all be good and kind in the comments, and let me know how you feel. I hope you're all okay. I have huge sympathy and love for those of you that have been more affected by the pandemic than I have. And if you want to private message me on Instagram, then you certainly can, and we can have a chat. Okay, I'm going to go because I know the dog's going to start barking. So take care and goodbye.